Don't beg, don't explain, don't pursue. She likely believed she had you figured out, that you'd wait, overthink, maybe even plead. But the moment you cease reacting, the dynamic shifts. When you pull back with discipline, not drama, you create a void that speaks louder than any words you could ever utter. Here's the truth. Neediness repels, while self-respect attracts. The harder you try to prove your worth, the less she see it. That's why silence, distance, and composure are your most powerful tools. Not to punish her, but to elevate yourself. In this video, I'll reveal how to make that exact shift. The mindset, the actions, the energy that make her realize the man she left behind isn't waiting. He's becoming unforgettable. Let's begin. Number 1. Withdraw with poise. Don't storm out. Don't offer explanations. Simply make your exit with grace. When you calmly walk away without noise or bitterness, you create curiosity, not closure. A Stoic man doesn't retreat in anger. He withdraws to protect his inner peace. And that's the key, safeguarding your peace. Withdrawing with poise isn't about punishing anyone. It's not about trying to make someone feel what they've lost or triggering regret. It's about quietly choosing yourself with such self-control that it resonates far more profoundly than any dramatic goodbye ever could. Consider a situation where someone you deeply cared for has stopped seeing your value. Perhaps they've taken you for granted, pulled away, or even disrespected you. The impulsive response would be to demand answers, to vent your frustrations, to justify your worth one last time. But a man rooted in self-mastery understands this. If you have to convince someone to recognize your value, they were never ready for it in the first place. So instead of explaining, you simply leave physically, emotionally, energetically. No warning, no spectacle, no need to be understood, because understanding is not owed. Peace is not something you beg for. It's something you build and protect. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be like him who performed the injury." That is what withdrawing with poise looks like. You don't mirror the chaos. You don't retaliate, you just rise silently. And that quiet restraint speaks volumes. It stays in their mind longer than any words ever could. They might wonder why you didn't react, why you didn't pursue, why you vanished so calmly. That's precisely what makes it powerful, because you didn't leave in weakness. You left in wisdom. So, if you're at that point, don't slam the door. Don't post a cryptic message. Just go quietly, peacefully, with your head held high. That's how a man withdraws, with poise, and, ironically, that's often when they truly begin to feel your absence, not because you shouted, but because you no longer needed to be heard. Before we continue, I want to hear from you. Has there ever been a time when you chose peace over proving a point? When you walked away, not to punish, but to protect your energy? Share your thoughts in the comments. Or, if you're keeping it simple, just type, "I walked away with grace, not anger." I read every comment, and your story might resonate with someone who needs to hear it. Now, let's move to the next point. Because the journey of mastering yourself doesn't stop when you walk away. That's only the beginning. Number 2. Evolve in silence. Let your transformation be invisible until it becomes undeniable. Grow privately. New habits, sharper focus, cleaner energy, no announcement required. Not every move you make needs an audience. Not every change you commit to requires applause. The truth is, when you are truly serious about growth, the work becomes internal, quiet, and disciplined, and often misunderstood by those who are used to the older version of you. Think about it. Have you ever started improving something in your life and felt the urge to tell everyone to prove you're leveling up? But the Stoics remind us that real progress doesn't need to be broadcast. As Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. That's the essence of silent evolution. You don't need to convince anyone you've changed. Your actions consistent.com. And elevated will do the speaking for you when the time is right. Imagine this. You stop chasing drama. You begin eating healthier, waking up earlier, and guarding your energy like it's sacred. People might not notice at first. Some might even question your distance, your calm, your sudden disinterest in old habits. That's okay. Let them wonder. You're not here to be loud about your path. You're here to walk it. Silence gives you the space to refine yourself without interference. It protects you from premature judgment and allows your evolution to take root deeply. When you evolve in silence, you cultivate inner strength that is anchored, not performative. So, if you're in a season now where you're making changes but no one seems to see it, keep going. You're not doing it for recognition. You're doing it because you are becoming. And eventually they'll realize something is different. They won't be able to explain it, but they'll feel it. That's the power of evolving in silence. Keep building. Keep growing. Just don't pause to announce it. Number 3. Guard your energy like it's gold. Stop giving attention where it's not returned. Your energy is a luxury. Invest it where it grows, not where it drains. Think about it. Would you hand out gold to people who don't value it, who toss it aside, or treat it like it's worthless? Of course not. So why offer your time, peace, an emotional presence to situations that drain your strength instead of replenishing it. When you're constantly overextending yourself for people who only show up when it's convenient, you're not being generous. You're being reckless with your inner resources. Guarding your energy means setting boundaries without needing to explain them. It means walking away from circular conversations, from people who dim your light, and from habits that slowly deplete your fire, not with bitterness, but with clarity. The Stoics had a word for this kind of inner discipline: eupatheia, a healthy emotion rooted in reason. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. That includes how you respond to other people's indifference or chaos. You don't owe everyone access to your mind, your peace, or your energy. That's reserved for the few who reflect your values, not just your effort. Imagine someone giving you their undivided presence, their loyalty, their calm, but you barely noticed. Eventually, they would withdraw, right? That's the same principle. So, be intentional. Your energy is sacred. Treat it like something precious, because it is. And when you protect it, you not only guard your peace, you also raise your value powerfully. Let your peace be your proof. Let your self-respect speak louder than any reaction. You don't need to convince others to see your worth. Just stop handing it out for free. Number 4. Allow her to feel the emptiness. Don't fill the void she left. Let the silence stretch. When she realizes you're not pursuing, she starts to wonder why. Marcus Aurelius taught us, absence isn't punishment, it's presence without dependency. And that's exactly the point. You're not trying to make her suffer. You're simply refusing to beg for the spot she chose to walk away from. There's a difference between being distant, out of bitterness, and being still out of self-respect. The Stoic doesn't act on impulse. He moves or doesn't move for a reason. When she feels your absence, what truly affects her isn't the lack of your voice, your messages, or your affection. It's the sudden realization that your world didn't collapse without her. Think about it. If every time she pulls away, you come running, she learns that your love has no boundaries. But when you hold your ground, when you let her feel the void she created, something shifts. That void becomes a mirror. She starts to see what she used to have. Not just a man who cared, but a man who stood tall in the face of rejection. A man, anchored in self-control, doesn't panic when attention disappears. He doesn't rush to fix what wasn't broken on his end. He gives the other person space not to manipulate them, but to reveal the contrast between chaos and his calm. So, let her feel it. Let the silence speak for you. You don't need to explain yourself. Your dignity does that for you. And in that space, you're not just showing her what she lost. You're reminding yourself of what you won: peace, clarity, and power over your emotions. That's not emptiness. That's presence with purpose. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to reflect. Have you been rushing to fill a void that someone else chose to leave? Or have you learned to let your stillness speak louder than your words? Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Let the silence carry the weight of your growth. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below, or simply type, "Not reacting is my new strength." Let's see how many of you are choosing calm over chaos. Number 5. Remain unavailable, but not bitter. You're not playing hard to get. You've simply raised the price of access. And no, it's not from pride, it's from clarity. You've seen what happens when you give too much of yourself to those who didn't earn it. So now you move differently, not with resentment or anger, but with intention. There's a big difference between being distant and being disciplined. When you're unavailable, people might think you're cold or detached. But the truth is, you've just stopped placing your time, energy, and peace into hands that fumbled them. Before, you're not shutting doors to hurt anyone. You're closing them to protect what you've built. The Stoics taught us that self-respect isn't about ego. It's about aligning with our highest self. Marcus Aurelius didn't say avoid others, but he did say to avoid becoming what you hate. And bitterness, no matter how justified, corrodes you more than anyone else. That's why your absence has no malice. It has meaning. You're still kind, still composed, but no longer available to chaos. She may notice your distance and assume you've stopped caring. But that's not it. You've just stopped explaining yourself to those who never listened. Let her wonder. Let her feel the difference between access and availability. The version of you that used to overextend, overgive, and over-apologize is gone. What remains is a man who chooses his peace over his past and his standards over his need to be understood. So no, you're not bitter. You're just better. And that changes everything. Number 6. Elevate your environment. Your room, your habits, your circle. It should all reflect your new standards. She'll notice when the old you no longer lives there. More importantly, you will feel it first, because when you step into a space that mirrors who you're becoming, not who you were, creates a shift. Your environment becomes a silent coach, a reminder of the discipline you've chosen and the peace you now protect. Think about it. You can't expect to grow while being surrounded by clutter, distractions, and people who still see you as the man you've outgrown. Stoicism teaches us to align our external world with our internal one. Marcus Aurelius didn't just write about virtue. He lived it daily, surrounded by simplicity, purpose, and order. It wasn't just for looks. It was to strengthen clarity and reduce chaos. Maybe it starts with something small, clearing out a drawer that holds memories you've outgrown, removing items that no longer serve the person you are becoming, or rearranging your space so it energizes you instead of draining you. Or maybe it means distancing yourself from voices that constantly echo your past. Whatever it is, don't underestimate the power of subtle shifts. Because little by little, your environment either fuels your progress or pulls you back into old patterns. When a woman walks into your life or your space, she'll feel the difference without you having to say a word. You've elevated your life not to impress, but to evolve. And that quiet confidence that Stoicism lived, not performed. Keep leveling up, not for anyone else, but because your peace demands it. Number 7. Release the need for closure. If she left without an explanation, don't chase answers. You don't need her words to heal. You need your own peace to move forward. I know that feeling, the questions, the late night overthinking, wondering why she pulled away, what you did wrong, or what she might be feeling now. But the truth is, closure isn't something someone gives you. It's something you choose for yourself. If someone walks out without offering clarity, that says more than any explanation ever could. Seneca said, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than necessary." And that's exactly what happens when you wait for someone else to make you feel better about their absence. Stoicism teaches us that peace doesn't come from external validation. It comes from mastering how we respond. So instead of replaying every conversation in your head, trying to solve a puzzle that was never yours to finish, shift your focus inward. Choose to let go, not because it's easy, but because holding on is costing you too much. Picture this. You're walking through a storm, hoping someone who left you in the rain will come back with an umbrella. But what if you stopped waiting and built your own shelter instead? That's strength. That's self. And ironically, when you no longer need closure, you become the closure. You become the calm after the storm. Let go, not to forget or to erase, but to free yourself from the burden of needing answers that may never come. You don't have to understand why she left to start healing. All you need is the decision to stop giving your peace away to someone who didn't protect it. That's where your power begins. I'd love to hear from you. What helped you start letting go? Was it a moment, a quote, a shift in perspective, or maybe you're still in that storm trying to build your shelter? Either way, share your thoughts in the comments or just type, "Detachment gave me back my power," if this message spoke to you. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to read right now. Let's keep moving forward, because the next step is all about reclaiming your energy and rewriting the narrative on your terms. Number 8. Cultivate an aura of calm power. No reactions, no drama. When she tests your silence with a message or a story, you remain unshaken. That contrast is powerful because it's not about playing cold or detached. It's about being centered. When you've built yourself from the inside out, you don't flinch at her emotional waves. You observe, you breathe, you choose your response instead of being pulled into the storm. That's what sets you apart. Imagine she sends a message designed to provoke. Maybe it's casual, maybe it's baiting, but instead of rushing to answer or defend your worth, you pause. You're not ignoring her out of spite. You're simply showing that your peace doesn't depend on her attention. That's what a Stoic man does. He owns his space. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." When you understand that, you stop letting someone else dictate your emotional state. You become the still lake, not the crashing wave. And here's the twist. She feels it. That calm energy draws people in. It makes them wonder why you're not affected, why you're not chasing. It's not arrogance, it's depth. It's the kind of power that doesn't need to speak loudly, it's felt. So, keep building that aura, not through force, but through discipline, through self-respect, through quiet strength. You'll notice something beautiful. The less you try to prove your value, the more undeniable it becomes. Number 9. Show her you've outgrown her old version. She won't come back because you begged. She'll come back when she realizes the man she once knew isn't the man standing now. And the shift doesn't come from posting quotes, showing off your changes, or trying to prove something. It comes when your energy says it for you. When your silence holds more weight than your old explanations ever did. You used to react. You used to need closure, reassurance, validation. But now you move with calm, with clarity, with direction. You're no longer the man who waited around hoping she'd see your worth. You became a man who no longer needs to be seen by her to know his worth. Imagine running into her one day. You don't act cold. You're not bitter. You're simply different, sharper, more composed. She expects familiarity, but what she gets instead is detachment dressed in self-respect. That's when it hits her. She no longer recognizes you, and that unfamiliarity is what pulls her in. The version of you she once knew couldn't let go. But the man you are now, he let go with grace and grew in silence. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought, foolish, and stupid." You weren't pursuing her understanding. You were focused on becoming something better. regardless of whether she noticed. And now that she does, that realization is what stings the most. Because what was once familiar comfort is now a mirror, reflecting everything she lost, not because you punished her, but because you evolved beyond the version she thought would always be there. Number 10. Let her pursue the man you've become. The tables turn when you no longer try to prove you're enough. When you focus on becoming more, she feels it. There's something unshakable about a man who stops seeking validation and starts living with purpose. You're no longer chasing her approval, her attention, or her texts. You're chasing your own potential. And ironically, that shift, that's what makes her notice you all over again. Think about it. When you were trying to win her back, maybe with long messages, emotional calls, or constant availability, you were giving her the power. But the moment you pulled that energy inward and directed it toward yourself, your goals, your mindset, your standards, everything changed. That's the man she begins to wonder about. That's the man she starts watching quietly from afar. A Stoic man knows this truth. You don't need to persuade someone to value you. You need only to become someone who values himself so deeply that others are drawn to your calm, your clarity, and your presence. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. You're doing just that now. Let her feel the distance, not as punishment, but as proof that you're evolving. You've upgraded from who you were. When she knew you, you've stopped reacting. You've started becoming. And when she finally looks back, she won't see the same man she walked away from. She'll see someone she now has to earn. And that, my friend, is the real reversal, not because you played a game, but because you stepped into your own gravity. Now I want you to take a second and ask yourself, what kind of man are you becoming? When no one's watching, that's where the shift really happens. It's not about proving anything to her. It's about proving to yourself that you no longer need to. The moment you stop performing and start transforming, you begin to radiate, a presence that speaks louder than words. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you felt this shift in your own journey? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. Or just type, I'm becoming the man she never saw coming. If this resonated with you, let's move on to what happens when she finally starts to feel that change. Number 11. Remember, you are the prize. At your best. You don't wait to be chosen, you choose. She left. That's fine. Now you lead with purpose, peace, and poise. And that's not just confidence. It's clarity. A man who understands his value doesn't crumble when someone walks away. Instead, he quietly steps forward, knowing that what he brings to the table is rare. You're not here to convince anyone of your worth. You're here to live it, breathe it, and embody it. Let me give you something to consider. Imagine a man who used to constantly overextend himself to keep someone interested. He texted too much, explained too often, apologized for simply being himself. But then something changed. He learned to sit with himself, to build his life from the inside out. He read, trained, sharpened his mind, and set goals. And in doing so, he stopped seeking validation and started creating value. That's when everything shifted. The same people who once ignored him started to notice. Why? Because energy doesn't lie. A man grounded in self-respect emits something that can't be faked. That's what Stoicism is about, not coldness, but composure. Marcus Aurelius reminded us to waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. When you embrace that, you no longer ask, why didn't she choose me? Instead, you ask, am I showing up as the man I'm proud to be? That's a different kind of power, a calm power, one that doesn't need loud declarations or approval to stand tall. So, next time you're tempted to chase what left you, pause, breathe, and reset. You're not here to convince anyone to stay. You're here to evolve and let the right people recognize you on their own time, because the prize doesn't beg. The prize doesn't perform. The prize simply exists and is valued by those who can see it. So, what's the real secret? It's not about pursuing her, it's not about convincing her to see your worth. It's about becoming the man who sees it himself clearly, calmly, and without needing applause. Because when a Stoic man lets go, not from ego, but from evolution, something shifts. You stop reacting and start attracting. You stop waiting and start rising. And that peace you carry, it stays in her mind longer than any message you could have sent. Let her feel the change. Let her wonder. And if she comes back, it'll be on your terms, not because you begged, but because you became unforgettable. Now, tell me, what part of this hit you the most? Drop your thoughts below, or type, I choose power over pursuit.